All right, welcome to the Decision Maker podcast, episode number 1. And I've got my good friend here, Drew Davis. How's it going, Drew?
Very well. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being my first guinea pig. So the goal of this podcast is to one, learn about you and what you got going on, and to hopefully promote Davis Roofing Solutions. And then number 2 is just to provide some insight into what it's like being a decision maker, business owner, entrepreneur, sales professional, and to hopefully provide some learning and knowledge to a lot of other people out there who would be interested in doing the same thing or are doing the same thing. So let's start off. Let's just get a quick background of who you are and how you came to be and what you're doing.
Cool. So I started into sell. Well, my first real job was a sales job. I was selling on the telephone, selling long distance services for Bell South, and then I didn't sell anything else for a little while, and then I got into door-to-door sales about 10 years ago. Sold primarily, I sold lawn care for 6 or 7 seasons, and I sold solar, I sold roofing, I've sold cutlery, and then I got out of door-to-door to sell HVAC for a small little bit, and then got back into door-to-door selling roofs. And during that time, I'd always wanted to be a business owner, and so I was constantly trying to start new businesses and just failing after failing after failing after failing until NTX. I started NTX in 2020, and
NTX is roofing.
NTX Roofing Solutions, and that one became very successful. And then just that partnership had to separate and start my own company, with me being 100% owner. And this one is extremely successful as well. We're moving about 6 times the pace with NTX.
Wow, that's awesome. So going back to your history a little bit, what always kept you into sales? Why did you always keep going back to sales, and why did you never try to do something else? What was in your mind that just made that you knew sales was it?
Well, I think number one is just it's fun. Whenever you take somebody from get off my property to here's my credit card and where do I sign, it's a good feeling. It makes you feel good inside.
Yeah.
It's just like it's an accomplishment, and so that sense of reward, I think, is probably the biggest thing that kept me pushing into sales. But then on top of that, there's other aspects to it. Number one would be you make your own check, so nobody tells you how much you're worth. I can't stand whenever somebody tries to determine my worth for me, so that's a big aspect. Another aspect is kind of the freedom, which can be a detriment to a lot of people. Most people will need that slave driver to crack a whip over them and get them to do XYZ. But I find myself to be more productive whenever I don't have to be accountable to another person as far as like my own work ethic goes.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
What would you say to someone who has part of that drive, but they might be missing part of the drive too? Like they may be a little bit used to having someone tell them what to do. They know that they kind of want to make their own way, but they're still a little stuck in the old way too, and they need some help. Maybe their mindset isn't quite right.
Well, so the first thing that I would say is that even though I say, I work better whenever I'm not accountable to another person, what I mean by that is not accountable to a manager. I'm still accountable to my family. I had to rep the best dad ever on this show. Because my kids depend on me, my kids, my wife, they depend on me. And then being a Christian, I'm accountable to God himself. And so,
amen.
If you're not accountable to something, if you're not working for an external purpose, then there's really no point. So I think having a family is a very, very big motivator in this particular industry. Does that answer your question?
Yep, absolutely. going from, you've sold a lot of different things. Have you developed any strategies to learn a product quickly, or learn a new pitch, or learn a new sales system quickly?
So really and truly, man, just to be completely honest with you, it's not so much focused on the actual item or product that you're
Mhm.
selling. Um, whenever whenever you're selling, you're essentially selling yourself. You're selling trust,
Mm.
and if you can build that rapport with your prospect and turn them into a buyer, you can do that with any product. It doesn't matter what you're selling, and you can be a complete, idiot whenever it comes to your product or service. I mean, quite frankly, I mean, you don't have to know anything about roofing to be able to sell a
Mhm.
lot of roofs. As long as you're working with a company that kind of knows what they're doing, then you always have a fallback. If a homeowner asks you a question that you're not familiar with, the go-to answer is just, that's a really good question, Mr. Jones. I haven't had that one come up yet. Let me
Mm.
call my boss and find it out real quick so I can get you the right answer.
Yep.
And just being completely frank and upfront and honest with the counterpart will make you, will produce success. It will
Yeah.
it will make them trust you. So
Yeah, I think that's because so I went, for everyone to know, I went and worked with Drew at NTX Roofing Solutions, and that was something that kind of blew me away. I think day 2, I was out there knocking doors and started making money pretty much immediately, and I didn't know one thing about roofs, so I still had a couple weeks of training just learn about roofs. So, I mean, knowing about roofs is great because then you can kind of take the training wheels off and be able to answer a lot more of those questions yourself. But like you said, I think it's exactly right. It's all relationships. It's all trust first. If you can build trust, you can make up a product to sell them right there. You can get them on your email list, make a connection with them, and you'll have someone for life that you can sell to no matter what job you do. You might switch and go to some other company. Hit them up.
That is 100% true.
Yep.
I've cross sold many products.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely true.
I've been doing a little bit of that. I'm like, hey, I'm not in roofing anymore, but I got something else to give you.
As you should.
Exactly. So another kind of interesting point I heard was you wanted to be a business owner for a long time. And that's not something I can't sympathize with that, because I can never say I've wanted to have that stress or have that responsibility. I love sales, but I can't say I've ever wanted to really be a business owner. So where'd that come from?
Well, so number one, if you're selling for straight commission, then you are a business owner.
I guess so.
So number one, but number two, so the reason, and most people kind of think very similarly. Most people don't want the additional stress of running a business, and I get that, but that's just a pill I got to swallow until I can get the right staff on board to take away that stress. But the idea behind starting a business is to leave an inheritance for my kids' kids.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so what I'm building is not a career for myself. It's a reliable source of resources for my family and future generations.
Just get a cat?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. And I get that. As far as, I think another thing that I know about you is you talk a lot about leveraging your time and leveraging your ability. And I can see how being a business owner gives you the maximum leverage, because you have the ability to hire, fire, leverage really what you can do on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And something about businesses in general, whenever a business, the company itself will reflect its leadership. And so the atmosphere and the direction that the leadership gives to the company, that's what's going to be propagated in the future of the business. And so you'll see companies that that fail, and it's always due to its leadership. And I'll be the first to admit, in all of the businesses that I failed at, so this is my 13th business to start, my second success. And so 11 businesses I failed at, it was 100% because of me.
Wow.
And I own that. And each business that does fail, people try to point fingers to external sources that, I could have succeeded if it wasn't for that dang COVID. Well, we started right in the middle of COVID. So what makes us different? It's the only thing that makes us different is the attitude that we have as business owners and the direction that we lead our companies in, and everybody will follow that lead, or you fire them. So so it's pretty simple. I mean, you can certainly build the atmosphere and the team that you want, and you got to also understand that your team is a representation of yourself. So if you're out hiring crooked salesmen, then you're gonna have the aura of a crooked company, and people aren't going to trust you. So just in general, you can certainly design the atmosphere and attitude and direction of the company, and it all goes back to the leadership.
Awesome. What does your weekly schedule look like? How do you manage your time throughout the week? Or maybe just in general, not in detail, but some priorities that you look into.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not the best at time management. I try my best, but I'm just not as good at being organized with my time. I think it's just like part of my personality or whatever, but I try, but it's certainly not as organized as I would like it to be. But what it looks like is, get up in the morning, go to work, and then work all day. Answer questions, put out fires, make sales, recruit, train, hire, make insurance phone calls, follow up with previous customers, make sure that all projects are moving smoothly, follow up on my CRM to make sure that every job is moving along nice and smooth, and then collecting money and then coming home and spending time with my family. But I'm never not working. I've told my wife this, and she's not the keenest on it, but she's supportive of me, and so she gets it. But I've told her, I'm always working. There's never a moment where I'm not working.
Yeah.
And so even right now, if somebody calls me right now while I'm on this podcast,
we gone.
then I'm gonna sell the roofs.
Cool. Well, one thing I'll throw in there that I've learned, that I personally learned from you, was I always had that problem.
Speak of the devil. Hang on just a second.
Let's watch Drew make a sale real quick.
Okay, no, I think this is a scam. Let me just answer it there real quick.
Okay, cool.
Davis Roofing Solutions, this is Drew. How can I help you?
Hi, I want to find out from you guys. I have one of my turbines on my roof that's not spinning. Find out what I call to figure out the situation.
Sure. Yeah, the inspections are always free. Let me get some quick info from you, and then I'll come out and check that out for you. Now, what was your first name? Your last name?
I'm going to mute Drew for a second so we don't get the personal info, but yeah, there you go. You guys get to see a decision maker in action, making money.
And what's your email there, Ms. Coe?
We'll mute that. While he's talking, one thing I did learn from Drew is, maybe he's done. No, he's still going. One thing I learned from Drew is I always had this problem of procrastinating on the tasks that I really didn't want to do. And one thing he encouraged me to do when I was working for him is, hey, first thing in the morning, knock those out. Just get them off your list, get them off your to-do list, and just get them over with. By 10 or 11 in the morning, have those done. And I just started doing that and just attacking them. And it was really, it really changed my productivity, and it changed my happiness too in my work, because I didn't have these things just being held over my head of tasks that, man, I know I really need to call this person to give them this, kind of have this hard conversation with them. I really don't want to. And so when I just started doing it, then, man, game changer.
Okay. And we usually say, give us an hour or two window on that. But it's, sometime around then. And then, is the house single story or two story? Okay. Right. Again, we got a turbine that's not acting proper. I will get out there for you here in just a couple hours, and we'll get you taken care of. All right. Thanks a lot, Miss Catherine. I'll see you in a bit. Bye. Okay. Are you there?
Yep.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You gotta get that money. Get those
Yeah.
inspections.
So
That's awesome.
She's not scheduled right this second, so we still got time. So
All right, cool. Yeah, well, we got a couple minutes left. So one couple other questions I wanted you to, one thing I was telling them while you guys were talking, I wanted to mute her personal info, but was just how you encouraged. I used to have the problem of the tasks that I just really didn't want to do. I'd procrastinate them, and you would always encourage me by 10 in the morning, knock them out. Just get them done first thing, attack them head on, and you'll have and man, that changed everything because I'm just happier. I don't have these things hanging over the back of my neck, to do throughout the day. So I was just kind of, speaking on that a little bit.
Did you happen to mention the magic book?
No, that's something I was hoping you'd get into. So my next question was going to be, what's your number one tool to be successful in what you do?
Magic book, baby. So
all right, let's hear about the magic book.
So the magic book, it starts out as a old self-destroyer, right? So the way that you use the magic book is you put your entry of the day and date up the top corner of the page, so that you log. It's a journal entry, right? Then your main body of that page is going to be an exhaustive list of all the wins that you can think of from the day. So everything from making your bed to closing 5 deals. So everything in the middle, you put every single win down. You're not going to include any failures. You're not going to include any hard times. You're not going to include anything negative at all. Only wins. And then so what that's going to do is it's going to help shape your self perception. So it'll make you more confident in yourself. It'll make you realize just how much you are winning, because most people have a tendency to focus on their losses and their failures. And the problem-oriented mindset is destined for failure. And so you have to be solution-oriented in your thinking. And by recording all of your wins and focusing on those wins, you will naturally tend to gravitate towards solution-oriented thinking. And then from there, you go into listing 6 things that you don't want to do, and then you do them. You said before 10. I usually say before noon, but before 10 is even better. So just as fast as you can get them done in the morning. The morning time is whenever you get this stuff done, regardless. And so you put down 6 things that you don't want to do, and you want to be you want these things to be productive things. Like you can put, I don't want to make my bed. And if you do it, that's a win. Yeah, I'll grant that. But what you really want to do is something that's focused on your business. So I don't want to knock 100 doors tomorrow and then knock them before noon, whatever it takes to get it done. And so put down the things that you don't want to do. And like I say, try to make it focused on your business. But if it's not, that's okay. And then do them. No, what that's going to do is, again, that's going to help boost your self-confidence, but it's also going to defeat procrastination, which is the number one killer of success. Most all failures in business happen before the business even starts. And it happens because people say, I'm going to start a business someday. Well, someday never comes. The only thing that's promised in the future is you're going to die. That's the only thing that the future holds. Everything else needs to happen right now. Now. So if there's something that you need to do or something that you desire or want to do to better yourself, then you don't wait until tomorrow to do it. You do it immediately. Do it right now. You pause the podcast and you go do it, right? And then the last thing that you do on the entry is you list 2 to 3 affirmations. And an affirmation is going to be always positive. So you're not going to put like an example. I like to give this example. I never lose. The terrible affirmation, because you got the idea of never and the idea of losing, and they're both together. Instead you would say, I always win. So you want it always in the positive format. You want it present tense only whenever possible. And I say whenever possible because long-term goals over 5 years. If you put that in the present tense, then you're lying, right? So present tense whenever possible. You want them specific, so not just generic. And then what was the? I'm drawing a blank off the top of my head. But regardless, you want those 2 to 3 affirmations listed to continue to boost your morale and have you focus on a definite purpose that you're trying to achieve. So
Awesome.
that's what the Magic Book entry looks like. And whenever I started doing that, my income increased by 6 figures. And
Wow.
I'm not exaggerating, not lying. Like whenever I started doing a Magic Book, my income literally increased by 6 figures. So
Wow.
I highly recommend it.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. We're about out of time. So let's just finish it off by what's the next couple years look like for Davis Roofing Solutions, and what are your, kind of near-term goals for your company?
Well, my immediate goal is to set up a location in San Antonio. My next goal after that is to set up another location in Abilene or Lubbock or Amarillo. Amarillo or Lubbock. One of those 2 locations. And I want to have the San Antonio office set up or at least established by the end of the year. And it may be the very last day of the year, but I do want to have it done by this year. And then I want to have the next one done by the end of June. And then if I can achieve both of those goals, then I'm going to be interstate by the end of next year.
Nice.
And right now we're ahead of pace. So I think
awesome.
we're going to make it.
Very cool. Real quick, just give me tell me why people should choose Davis Roofing Solutions out here in the DFW area for now.
Because I'm the best, baby. there's nobody that cares about my homeowners' roofs more than me. Guaranteed. There's not a single person on this planet that cares more than me. So I make sure that the job gets done right. I make sure it gets done flawlessly. I make sure that the homeowner is well taken care of. I don't look for. I don't try to do business where I got to do repeat business within the next year or 2. So I always do very, very high-end upgrades. So we upgrade the shingles, the underlayment, the ventilation, the boots, everything on the house. We'll even throw in a couple of sheets of decking in there for you for free. Just whatever I can do to make sure that roof is flawless. So that plus, I'm a trustworthy person, and I go over the top to earn that business and demonstrate how trustworthy I actually am. So anyway, that's why people
awesome. Yep, and I can vouch for all that too. This guy's not putting no rubber boots on any roofs.
Nah.
He's not letting some rotted decking lie around. He's putting a malarkey, impact rated roof on. So you don't play around. All right, cool. Well, thanks, Drew.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it. And
no problem.
I hope this podcast has a great future ahead of it and helps out a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, go kill it out there today.
All right, brother. Thanks.
All right,
bye.
Peace.